Here we are, The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, The Apostate. This is the beginning of The Mandalorian since 2020, I believe. That is the last time we saw this show, and we got a little bit of tease in the Book of Boba Fett last year, and that's basically all we really got. And they kind of recap some stuff in this episode too, but I've been very critical of a lot of things that are going into this season of The Mandalorian. There's still some things that are just have so many issues with, especially like the Gina Carano situation. But I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. I think the episode was actually really good. There's obviously been better episodes. It's a premiere episode. They're just kind of kicking off this whole new story that they're going to go into. But it was a very decent start to the season, and I actually liked it more than I thought I would. I thought it would be very, very bland and just kind of start up a little bit, and we'd kind of recap some stuff, and then we'd tease something at the end of like, okay, now we're really gonna start. No, we've kind of started now. We got an idea where we are in the story. So I really like that. So season 3, episode 1, it starts out with the Armorer, and you see a lot more Mandalorians now. This is basically where his creed has gone, because they kind of disappeared going into season 2. Like, we really didn't see them all too much. In the Book of Boba Fett, we only saw the Armorer and Paz Vizsla together, and that was it. It was kind of strange, but now we got a bunch of Mandalorians. We got this whole ceremony of bringing this child as a Mandalorian within their creed. So he's about to, bring on this whole thing of honor where he's never going to take his helmet off. They get attacked by this big crocodile, alligator, whatever, creature within the water. Looks really cool. It actually ends up being a very cool fight scene. I actually really like all the Mandalorians fighting together and stuff like that. We got a little bit in season 1, and it was a really cool scene. And it obviously ended with Din Djarin coming back into the picture with Grogu, and he saves the day by basically killing the thing and blasting it to pieces. Essentially with his new cool starfighter, which I really do. I think it's a cool starfighter. I'm actually kind of glad he has this one a little more. It makes for some cooler fight scenes within the ships and everything like that. So it makes for cooler ship battles. I like it. We basically get a recap then with him and the Armorer. This is essentially like the same conversation they had in Book of Boba Fett, because they have to let the viewers know, because I don't think as many watch Book of Boba Fett as they would watch The Mandalorian. They're telling him how he's got to go and bathe in the waters or whatever in the mines of Mandalore, and the Armorer is continuously saying that the mines and the planet itself is just wrecked and destroyed, and she doesn't even think it's there anymore, so he can't redeem himself. So she just says he's not a Mandalorian anymore. He brings this piece of Mandalore to her and just trying to show proof that Mandalore is still there and whatever. And essentially it just ends with the same story of he needs to go to Mandalore to redeem himself to become a Mandalorian again. Then we get this really cool scene in a nod to Star Wars Rebels, actually. So in Star Wars Rebels, these creatures played a big part in the finale of the whole show. The Purrgil, which are like basically space whales that travel through hyperspace. I think they're kind of cool. It's a little silly to me, but whatever. They're not like the biggest issue for me. I think they're kind of interesting. But we do get to see them in hyperspace there with Mando and Grogu, while Mando's basically like sleeping while they're in hyperspace, and Grogu gets to see the Purrgil in the background there while they're in hyperspace. I think that was kind of cool. Then we get to go to Navarro, and this is where I get some issue. Just a little bit of issue, but it is kind of cool to see Navarro continuously advancing, and now it's like a very rich like city almost. And Greef Karga is basically like the high majesty of Navarro now, and I think it's kind of cool. I like Greef Karga. I think he's cool. He's not that deep of a character, really. He was kind of like the bounty hunter guy in the first one, and now he's just kind of running Navarro, and I think it's cool. I think he's a cool character. I don't know how much we'll see him in the season, but he has a run-in with some pirates, which it almost makes you think you may see Hondo, but it's just some random guy who's serving some random new pirate guy, and that's about it. But obviously you're going to have a little bit of conflict in the episode just to kind of get it going a little bit before you get into the big stuff later. So we get this run-in with a few pirates who just basically want to pick trouble with Greef Karga and Navarro, and Mando and him basically shoot down all the pirates except for the main guy. He gets away to let everybody else know, whatever. It leads to something later. Okay, and now we get to the thing that I was very, very nervous about for this episode of The Mandalorian, especially since Greef Karga is in it, and we all know that the character of Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, was a significant character that would be around the character of Grief Karga. They would kind of just be one and the same. They'd be together all the time in the show. And that is the big thing. I was wondering, like, what are they going to tell us? What are they going to do with this? Are they going to kill her off screen and just let us know, like, oh, she didn't make it? Or are they going to recast, which was a really wild idea, which they could have done. But for the time being, they're not going to do that, which I hate the whole situation. I think she should still be on the show. I hate that they got rid of Gina Carano. I do. I literally despise what Lucasfilm and Disney did. But I do think that the way they handled it is the best case scenario out of a completely terrible situation that Disney and Lucasfilm put Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni in. And that is they have to figure out a way to get, the Cara Dune character off the show. But I don't think they want to recast or kill her off either. So they essentially made Grief Karga say that she was sent off to Special Forces. So now she is in Special Forces with the New Republic or something like that. That's a theory I've had for a while now as something they would do. And it seems like that is the route they are going to be going for this character. I don't think we'll ever explore this character again. I don't even think we're going to ever hear about this character again. It is extremely unfortunate. The whole situation just is super frustrating, and it just once again reminds me of just what terrible things they did to Gina Carano and just the way they caved to such a strange group of people online to get rid of her. I wish the best for Gina Carano. I'm honestly glad she's not under Lucasfilm anymore and Disney, but I think they handled it the best way they could. Unfortunately, this is the way it ended up being, and I think overall the premiere was still very decent, and they handled it again the best they could. But she is now off to Special Forces, and that is the way I think they're just sending the character off. Cara Dune, great character, and I wish we had more of her. Then they bring up the idea that they need a new marshal in Navarro, so Mando brings up the idea that they could revive IG-11 or something like that. It was a droid in season 1, and they try to do it. It ends up just reverting back to its old programming, which wants to basically capture and kill Grogu. So that's not going to work. So he brings it to some mechanics or whatever, like the little guys from the sequel trilogy, Babu Frick or whatever his name is. Same species, not the same guy. And they try to repair it, and that's kind of the whole plot line when he leaves Navarro, is he's going to go get a part to help and try and repair IG-11. That's kind of the storyline there. I'm sure we'll see Grief Karga again and all of them back later in the season, but I think we're going to go on to some other adventures before that. As he's leaving Navarro, he gets attacked by some cool pirates, and you got a really cool starship battle scene that you would just normally see out of Star Wars, and this is my favorite scene of the whole show. The whole episode so far is this whole duel and battle in space between Din Djarin with his cool new ship and these space pirates that he is dealing with and trying to get away from. And he obviously quickly makes work of them and gets away very quickly. And yeah, I just love the whole scene. I think the whole entire space battle scene there, I really love it, and I hope we get to see more of that, because that really felt like some Star Wars. And yeah, it was really good. It looked good too. I think it looked good. Then at the end of the episode, we get to see Din Djarin go to this castle on a planet or a moon or whatever of Mandalore. It's in the Mandalorian system. And this is something we see in the trailers for Mandalorian Season 3, so this is something they have now addressed and shown. This is Din Djarin essentially going to see Bo-Katan. So you get this Mandalorian castle thing, this droid standing out. We see this in the trailer, and there is Bo-Katan just sitting all pissed off, basically, because she does not have the Darksaber that she wanted from the Season 2 finale, where Din Djarin ended up winning the Darksaber instead of her from Moff Gideon. And that is the conflict we all predicted would go into Season 3, and that is what they're going to go forward with. Bo-Katan is, you could just tell, she is pissed off. She is really, really frustrated that Din Djarin is the one who ended up getting the Darksaber from Moff Gideon. And I think this setup of her being extremely frustrated and mad at Din Djarin for I think it all comes together as him having the Darksaber, but she's trying to make up all these different scenarios now on why she's just mad and frustrated with Din Djarin, and his creed and his clan have messed everything up, and how they abandoned Mandalore and all that stuff, and she's continuously mentioning all those things. So it's immediately setting up the conflict between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. So I don't know if we're going to have a big main villain of the show, maybe like a looming threat, but I think the conflict in this season is going to be Bo-Katan versus Din Djarin, which we all kind of expected. So I think it's kind of interesting. Bo-Katan she's kind of been the hero most of the time we see her. She was kind of like the terrorist type person in, the beginning when we first saw her in Clone Wars, when she was with, pre-Vizsla, but now she's kind of reverting back to that villainous type of antagonistic character, and I think it's really cool. Actually, it's deeper exploration of her character, and I'm all here for it. I really am. I think it's interesting, and I think the whole battle and duel for the Darksaber is going to be an interesting one, and I don't know if it's going to lead to someone ending up dying. I don't think they'd kill off Din Djarin in his main show, but again, as we've seen, you don't have to kill a character to win the Darksaber. Moff Gideon is obviously still alive, so I could see a duel coming up between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. We'll just have to see, but essentially he lets her know, I'm going to go to Mandalore. I'm going to try to redeem myself as a Mandalorian, and I will let you know if the planet is poison or not. And that's how the episode ends. It was a good episode. I think it set up a lot of good stuff. We got some cool fight scenes. We got this cool ship battle scene in space. We got the confirmation, unfortunately, of what we have to deal with Cara Dune's character, and I wish she was still in the show. It's unfortunate that she's not. My biggest issue still right now, storyline-wise, is that they haven't really just explained to the audience why Grogu is just back with Mando now. I obviously it's explained in the Book of Boba Fett and everything that happened, but you got to understand that there's a lot of people that just turn on the Mandalorian and just don't expect that storyline to just suddenly be explored somewhere else. They just turn on from season 2 finale to season 3 premiere and why is Grogu back? What the hell happened? I think they need to explain it a little more and tell us a little more about it. Not for my sake, but I think for a bunch of normies who are watching it and just are going to get all confused and can start wondering what the heck is going on. I'm so lost here. I think that's one of their biggest issues right now going into the rest of the season, and I'm sure they'll maybe explain it at some point. I don't think we're going to see Luke. I really don't. I think that storyline is past, unfortunately. I did love that Luke stuff in Book of Boba Fett. It was some of the only good stuff in that show, and we'll see where the story goes, but it was a good premiere. It really was. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I'm always very critical of Disney and Lucasfilm, will continue to be, and how they've handled the brand. But I can't deny it. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, I think they find a way to deliver some really interesting and fascinating storylines. And it just is what it is. I actually find it very fascinating. And I'm actually looking forward to the next episode of The Mandalorian Season 3. And I gotta say, man, so far, I know it's one episode, but I enjoyed this a lot more than, I can't say the Book of Boba Fett, but the Book of Boba Fett episodes that were the Boba Fett story, Andor, Kenobi, all that stuff. This was definitely better than those, especially Kenobi. Ooh. But good episode, good premiere, and on to season 3, episode 2. And, I think we'll start to get some more Mandalorian stuff. Maybe they'll actually go to Mandalore pretty early in the season. I don't know what we're going to get. But that's the premiere, and on to next week.